Who says that I use my body? Your mouth is part of your body. You dumb. Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, hi, my name is Alexis Jayda and welcome. Today's notification shout out goes to Lex Galore. Thank you so much, love, for all your love and support. Te quiero mucho. And I'm so sorry that you can relate on the situation and that you're currently going through it. I'm sending you all my prayers and all my love and all my good vibes. For anyone who is going through this situation and trying to get out of a toxic relationship, my heart goes out to you, and I really, really hope everything goes good. And just make sure that you guys are reaching out to your city, see if they have any programs for women, for men, and see if they can help you take the steps and what there is out there and what you can do. After I left and I, got more educated on what I could have done, this and that, I was like, oh my God, I could have left so much sooner. But sometimes we are so scared because we don't know that there's so much help out there. So I really, 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 really sending you good vibes, love. Te quiero mucho. If you guys want to be part of the notification squad, all you guys have to do is like the video, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment down below. And your comment can possibly be my next notification shout out. I am so freaking happy, you guys. I'm finally back. So I did the really intense story time. I'm not gonna lie. I started like beating myself up because I was like, oh my God. My kids are now going into middle school, and it's just really such a triggering thing for me because so much happened when I was in middle school. A lot of you guys know that I got pregnant super young. I got pregnant at the age 14, had my baby at 15, super young. So then going to middle school is really just like, oh my God, and it jerks so many feelings, emotions, all of it. And I just wanted to just get them all set, prepared, everything, and then like deal with my emotions. I cut my bangs. You guys were like, legs put down at the freaking scissors, because I was like, okay, I need something new. I need something new. So I cut my bangs and I feel freaking amazing. And I did some retail shopping. I went to the thrift store, got some bags. I feel really, really good. I just need like little pick-me-ups. And I've been talking with you guys a lot and all that good stuff. So forgive me for being away, you guys. It's just sometimes when I go so deep into these story times, there's a lot that I cut out. I have mentioned that before. And sometimes it's just like, I feel like I overshared too much, but you guys make me feel so comfortable because you guys are like, no, Jade, you don't. And that really makes me happy because for the longest, I wasn't able to share my story, or it was just too much. It's still even very hard to like talk about certain things with my grandmother and my mom and my siblings. They're very like, like they don't want to hear it. And it's very like triggering. So when I feel like I overshare on here, I feel like I'm gonna get the same response, and you guys are like, no. And it makes me so freaking emotional because I'm just like, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I don't mean to throw my family under the bus, but I'm just keeping it real with y'all. I know some of you guys hate that when I talk about my family. You're like, Jay, don't talk about them. That's not nice. And I'm not being mean. I feel like if anything, like I'm just saying it how it is, and it's not being mean. I'm not like, no, I'm just saying it how it is. You guys are my familia, and this is just how I talk. So let me show you guys what I got. Look. So I was on Facebook and I went and looked for another Playboy purse. This one, she still kind of smells like cigarette. This one is another one that I wanted, and I finally got it. So I got 1, 2, 3, wait, 4, 5. So this is my 5th Playboy bag. I am so freaking excited. Look how pretty she is. She doesn't have like a lot of tears or anything like that. She's very, very pretty. The only thing is homegirl stinks. Okay, like whooshy, really bad, like cigarette. And when I purchased it from the lady, she didn't say anything about that. She was just like, yeah, it's good condition, brand new, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay. And so when I got it, you guys, they smelled so bad. Like she still smelled kind of bad, but we try to clean her. If you guys know how to clean cigarette smoke off, please let me know. Is that even a thing? Anyways, when I was cleaning it with the trapo, the freaking, the wipey and the cloth had like yellow stuff. And my brother's like, that's nicotine. And I'm like, but she's cute. She's added to the family. I'm going to clean my background. Hold on, let me zoom out. I'm going to clean the background right here. And I think I'm going to put them here or maybe up top. I'm not, oh, you guys see my shirt? Cute, huh? I'm not sure, but here for sure, I do want to get like holiday vibes for you guys and make it like really, really cute. I've gotten some things and I want to make it cute for you guys. Make it seasonal. Yes, like always, you guys, I miss you guys so freaking much. I have been recording, so even though I haven't been posting or anything, I have been recording, vlogging, all of that, so you guys can see. And I will, like, for real, like, sit my butt down and edit them. Rudy waxed me yesterday. Hold on, let me show you guys. With this kit I got, I'm over here catching you guys all up. You guys are like, story time, bitch. But look, let me just say this real quick, okay? Rudy waxed me yesterday, and I recorded the video, y'all, so I can't wait for you guys to see that. Look how cute and fancy schmancy this is. But okay, now let's get into the first, who are you guys with? What are you guys doing? If you guys are cooking, what are you guys are cooking? If you guys are driving, what are you guys driving to? If you guys are watching me with somebody, who are you watching me with? And I didn't forget, let me pick those bad vibes. As I'm picking, just take deep breaths. Let me pick. I feel like we might have a little bit more extra this time because it has just been one of those days. Let me just pick. And let me give you some of mine. Close your eyes, deep breaths. And let's get ready to cheese me out. I love you guys. Then let's get to it. Boom. I know when I'm starting getting excited when my armpits start sweating. And they sweating, y'all. They sweating. Why can't I be normal? I'm gonna play with this one. I want to do a separate review on it, but I'm gonna do it for here. It's better than chocolate. Always reminds me of the SpongeBob episode, which is like chocolate. How does the lighting look, you guys? I got a new ring light. I hope it looks good, and I hope you guys like it. I like it. I think it looks really nice. Everywhere, but you guys know how this goes. When I'm gone for a long time, I always like to, and you guys are just like trying to keep up with me because I'm just like everywhere. Okay. Anyways, me and Stitch end up just sitting on the couch and just waiting until the morning comes. Baltimore goes upstairs. She's mad. She still has a couple words for us, and I'm just like, I feel like it's on repeat. It's like on repeat, and it just keeps happening. Like, I feel like every time they diss or they talk shit, it's just repetitive, and it's the same thing. Almost like I already know what's coming, and I already know in my head what she's going to say because she says it so often. Just like the whole everything, right? And she already had like told this to me and Sam and stuff, like how we're like putas and everything. So it was just very repetitive. It felt like, okay, like get it over with. I know that's not a good thing. I know it's like, well, stop sneaking out. Like, stop doing this so it doesn't sound so repetitive. I used to hate when my brothers would act up, because some of you guys don't know, because some of you guys are new FAMBAM. I raised my two brothers. They are 2 years apart from each other. I started raising them when they were 13 and 10 and 12. And let me tell you, they, everything in the book, these little mocosos put me through. And I would have to yell at them constantly because, like, I couldn't give them chingazos, you know what I mean? And so I would tell them, they'd be like, oh my God. And they're like, can you just say what you need to say? And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is how Baltimore probably felt, because I literally was repeating it. And I remember one time when I yelled at them and I closed the door and I came back to yell at their asses again, they were like, bro, I'm surprised she didn't say blah, 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 blah. And I was so mad because that's what I was coming back to say. So it really pisses me off, and it made me so freaking mad. But that's, when I think about it, that's like what I think, where I'm like, oh my God, because that's how I felt. I just feel like her disses, where it's like, it's not even giving anything anymore, bitch. Like, you're not even hurting my feelings anymore. And I was just such a little mocosa too. Like, I know you guys are like, Jade, you were a baby. But I feel like I was a baby, but I was cabrona también. You know what I mean? I was just like, and I don't know. If you guys want to excuse me, I'm cool with that too. I'm cool with that. My mom hates when I would be like, well, I was a child. Because I was. And she's like, yeah, but you knew. And I'm like, we're not doing that. Nope, we're not doing that. Because me and my mom, we're still healing a lot together. And we still get into it because my mom is very much of, even though you were a child, you know what you were doing. And I'm like, really, Mom? Really? I just feel like that's a cop-out. I feel like that. Because when I look at Angelica, and I'm not like, you know what you're doing. You know, like, to a certain extent. Like, if she knows, like, okay, I'm gonna put the bleach in with the black clothes. You know what I mean? Like cosas así, but I feel like other stuff, it's not always the same. And I feel like everyone always wants to put everything in the same, and it's like, it's not the same, it's not the same. And I need to do get ready with me answering questions. So if you guys want to leave comments down below, and we could do a get ready with me, so it doesn't feel like we're waiting so long for the next story time, I think that would be lovely. So please leave your comment down below. And if you guys didn't know, I do have a lot of giveaways. I try to at least have a giveaway every other day on my Instagram. If you guys are like, I don't like Instagram, just download it and just follow me. Because I know a lot of you guys are like, it has so much drama with Instagram. Just follow me. Doesn't mean you gotta follow everybody else. Just follow me and you can maybe win some makeup. Okay, anyways, so me and Stitch stay up and we're kind of just like laughing. We're kind of like bonding over like what just went down at the park. And I know that sounds really gross. I cringed so hard because I had no business doing what I did so young. So we were just talking, and I'm not gonna go so much into the details, but we were just kind of like, ah, you're crazy, but no, you're crazy. You're nasty, no, you're nasty. And so we're bonding. Sam and Lilo, they kind of start waking up, you know, and we're kind of just like telling them like what went down, what happened, and how Baltimore's mad. As soon as Stitch tells Lilo that like, yeah, she, you know, she got crazy with me, she said this, even Lilo's face, I was like, oh, so I'm gonna see her get her ass beat today. That's what's going on. Okay. Time passes a little bit more, and I just see Stitch like on her phone. She's literally like this. Just like that. And I'm like, I wonder who she's texting. I wonder what she's doing, you know? So I'm messaging the ex, talking with him. She's asking about Stitch, like, oh, she seems really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I'm always like 100 with you guys. I was getting a little celosa because I would hate when he would ask about like my friends or anything like that. I would hate it because I felt like I had to have my guard up, and I honestly felt like I couldn't have any friends because he wanted them. I even had someone really close to me who I would tell them like, yeah, these are my friends, and they would be like, you don't have like any like hot friends? And that shit made me mad because I was like, they are beautiful, they are gorgeous, what are you talking about? And it made me feel like, oh, you mean I don't got friends for like that fit what you want, that you see fuckable? People are so stupid like that. Like they really like don't think before they talk. It's really disgusting. Like it really truly is. But anyways, I was starting to get like really paranoid because I love Biscuit. She is one of my closest friends that I love. I really do, truly, with all my heart. But I'll never ever forget how me and her were like this. She knew I was head over heels for this man. He dumped me, called me up and was like, hey, how would you feel if me and Biscuit, like, you know, whatever. We had barely broken up. I called her and I'm like, hey, like, you wouldn't, right? And she's like, what? Like, you know, like, are you really I like felt so betrayed because I loved her so deeply. I still love her deeply, but I know I hate saying but I will never get over it. And I know it's like, oh, it's petty love. But the way I rode for her, y'all, like, even like people she would hang out with, I'd be like, I don't trust that person. Because like, I loved her so much that like, even my vibe wanted to protect her. And I'm not crying because of a dude. I'm crying because like, it hurt. Like, I didn't know how to explain it to her. Like, it hurt. And she's apologizing. I'm not with the dude. It wasn't even about him. It was about the loyalty, because like, I felt so like strong for her, even though she apologizes like now when we talk and stuff. I'm like, dude, it don't even matter. But like, I'm talking about it hurting now because we are going back in time, right? But she was like the closest thing to me. That was like my sister. Like, that was like my everything. Like, she really was. I remember like seeing them hold hands, and she was like writing him letters, and I remember he was like, oh, she spelled my name right. And I'm like, she spelled your name right because I know how to write your name, because like his name was like, oh, it could be spelled this way or that way. And I knew how to spell it because like I was like geeked over him. And I remember she wrote him a note, because that's what we would do back in the day for all the youngins. You would write notes and you'd pass them every time like the bell would ring, like, oh, here, oh, thank you so much. She wrote his name right. And I remember like, oh. And I remember, even though they dated for a day, I don't give a fuck. It was a second, a minute. I was so hurt that day. I remember she wore my hoodie. I think I've told you guys this story before too. She wore my hoodie in class. We had a period together and I was like, take that shit off right now. I was so mad. And I remember saying that I was gonna beat her ass, and she went to the principal's office and was like, she's gonna beat my ass. And I was like, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I was not gonna put my hands on her, but I just wanted her to know that like, I'm hurt. And it took me a while to get over it, but I was like so forgiving because I loved her so much, you know? Since I was so scarred from like not being able to trust like that many people around me, it always felt like he always wanted to, like in a sick way, let me know like I could have her too. I could have her too, and you and her. So I was starting to get paranoid, I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, oh my God, here we go again. And my mood shifted. And I was like messaging him and I was like, they're only here to like visit, like why? He's like, I'm just asking questions, like why are you so psycho? And he really made me feel crazy, you know? And I could see where it did come off like loca, but y'all, like he went after everything, you know? Like he even went after my cousin. Like that's a whole another story time for another day. The cousin that we're gonna talk about, that bitch and him, they did stuff. So it's just like, he's grimy, they're grimy, you know what I'm saying? It hurt. Like I don't know how to explain it. So I was getting like, you know, a little psycho, and Skillet was trying to talk to me, and in my mind I was like, the bitch already has his number, I bet. So I was getting really defensive, and I was kind of catching an attitude with her because she was like typing away at her phone. And so I asked her, even though I didn't want to, I asked her, who are you talking to? And she's like midway like hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw on her phone, and she looks at me and she's like, chill. And in my brain I'm like, what do you mean chill, bitch? Like instead of you saying like, oh, so-and-so, the guy I just licked down, what you mean chill, you know? So I was really fighting the demons in my head, y'all. Like I really was. And the ex stopped texting at that time. So I was really like, the wheels were turning. I was like, here we go again, here we go again. And you think I'd be like, I don't want to mess with this dude, F you. But I literally thought like this was the person I had to spend the rest of my life with because we had done stuff. And I know that sounds crazy. I know people are like, what? There's so many people in the world. When you're so young and naive, you really think that like, oh, it's just this way. Like you only have to go this way. No, you could go all, wait, no. Just because your family, your friends have done it this way and they're like, this is what works for me, it might not work for you. We don't all like the same thing. We don't all have the same taste buds. There might be some things we have in common, but at the end of the day, we are all not the same. Our thumbprints ain't even the same. So everyone is different. Everyone is unique in their own way. And I didn't learn that until later. So in my head, in this mentality, I was like, I gotta make sure no one can have him. I gotta make sure that I'm doing everything, because no one can have him but me, you know, but me. Why? Like I do everything for him. Why? Like just me. So she could see that I'm getting kind of annoyed because I just put my phone down and I'm just like, I just want it to become morning so I could see Wilton get her ass beat. Like I'm just mad because I'm like, why couldn't she just tell me? So I'm texting him like, hello, like why did you stop messaging me? Like what's going on? Hello, like nothing. And I'm looking over at her and she's just laughing on her phone, and I could see Sam just like kind of just looking at me. You know when someone's studying you, you know when someone's just like looking just to see every single move. So I tell her, what, Sam? What do you want? And she's just like, nothing, smiling. And I'm like, dude, I can't wait until someone beats your ass. And she's like, She doesn't want to say like, well, do it, because she knows like I would jump on that ass, because I wanted it so bad, y'all. But it's like she was like the forbidden like thing, you know, the forbidden fruit. I could not, because I knew I would lose everything if I put my hands on her, and she knew it. I know she knew it. So she continues just to look at me and smirk, and y'all, I hate that I wasn't so good at controlling my emotions, because it was very, very like, you could see it, okay? You could see it, like how I was so upset and annoyed. It's like when a kid is throwing a tantrum and you're just like, act right, but they're just like they want to like do something, you know? And I've told you guys, I've always had like those feelings where I just wanted to like kick the door down and like go into Hulk mode, because I was just so annoyed. And that's like, people might be like, well, it's a type of being controlled, like you're trying to be control of, is that even a word? You're trying to control the situation, and it is what it is. And I did not want to be like, bitch, it is what it is, because I'm like, I want to control it, because it's giving me anxiety, bitch. So anyways, I'm sitting there, I'm all pissed off, and from time to time I can see Sam is just smirking at me, y'all. Just smirking, and I'm getting so overly annoyed. Like, just annoyed. My palms are sweating, my toes are sweating, like everything. And at this point, I feel like I probably reek of my sweat. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go take a shower. And Sam's like, you should. I just look at her and I'm like, you disgust me. Like, you honestly do. You make me want to throw up. Like, stop talking to me. Bitch is like, damn, bitch, that was rude. And I'm like, so I give her an ugly look, and she's like, oh, what was that for? Instead of me just trying to keep my cool, because I don't want to look like a crazy ass, and I'm just like, she's like, ew, oh no. She's like, ew, what was that look for? And I was like, why are you acting brand new? She's like, what the fuck did I do? How am I acting brand new? And I'm like, one moment, like we're talking, the moment you get all weird and stuff when I ask you who you're texting. And she's like, you're really tripping about that? And so she like points her phone at me. She's like, I'm talking to, and she's saying the person's name, right? We'll call him Buttercream. We'll say Buttercream. I'm talking to Buttercream, like who else would I be talking to? And she like looks at me, and it was so weird, the sigh of relief that I felt over my body, where it's like, okay, good, she's not talking to him. And it was apparent. Like, you could probably see it over my face, because I was reading her face as she was reading mine. And she goes, really? I'm like, really what? Like, so I'm trying to still keep this face of like being annoyed, right? And she's like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I just don't like how you switched up. And she's like, my bad. I was just talking to Buttercream, so I was just in it. It ain't no biggie. Chill. And so I'm like, oh, in my head, like, bitch, that's the second time you told me to chill. I am fucking chill, but in reality, I'm not. I'm like, I'm burning, because I wanted confirmation right there and then that she wasn't talking to, you know, my ex, Squidward. So I am now relieved. My body's now relaxed. It's like the water in my armpits just shut off. So I'm like, oh, okay, good. I can relax. Like, she wasn't talking to him. He's not going to, you know, F her. Because I know a lot of people, when you guys were on my live and I showed you who he looked like, y'all were like, Jade. I don't know how many times I gotta tell y'all. It has nothing to do with looks. If someone can make you hee-haw, 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 and make you laugh, they're a comedian, you'll be like, okay, he cute. Yeah, he cute. I see it. Because you're having such a good time. You're laughing all the time. That's the one thing I hated about him too, where it's just like I could be so pissed off and he would tell me a joke and I would laugh, and I feel like that would be like the way of breaking the silence of like me and him not talking. And he'd be like, okay, I'm good now. She's not mad at me because he made me laugh. And he was like the class clown. Like, he could make anybody laugh. So I go upstairs and I take my shower, and as I'm showering, I keep hearing someone knocking. Someone knocking, and I'm like getting so annoyed because I'm like, damn, like I just jumped in. I smell a stink and I need to wash this off. Like, I need to wash this off. And I turn off the water so I can just hear it. I'm like, hello? And it's Sam. She's like, hey, can I come in? I'm like, no, I'm showering. Go downstairs. Like, I'm showering. Go downstairs or go to Baltimore. Like, leave me alone. And she's like, no, like, I really need to talk to you. And I'm like, for what? And she's like, it's about Squidward. So I grab the towel, cover myself, open the door, and I'm like, what, Sam? She's like, I knew that would get your attention. And like slides her way in. And I'm just like so annoyed because I'm like, dude, like, why are you like this? Why? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what? So I'm like soaking wet, holding the towel. Okay, probably look like a little sexy moment. Just kidding. I'm like holding the towel and I'm like, what, Sam? Like, hurry, get it out. Cause like I'm already annoyed with her. Like I'm so annoyed. I like want to beat her up so bad. So I'm like, hurry, like what? And she's like, so is everything okay? And I'm like, what? Like we're not doing this right now. Like what's wrong with you? Like Sam, like I don't like you. Like I really, really don't. Like I really despise you. Like I don't like you. You were just talking to him. Like leave me alone. We're constantly doing this back and forth. Like I don't understand what's wrong with you. Like for real, like please leave me alone. It's so weird when someone has to literally tell you like, please leave me alone. When someone tells you they don't want you, they want you to leave them alone, leave them the alone. Please, please. Don't just sit there and try to be like, no, they really want me. They always say that. No one should have to tell you more than once that they don't want you. Leave that person alone, please. So she kind of gets annoyed with me and she kind of gives me like an ugly ass look. She always had like this look where like her eyebrow would like bounce his ass and her lip like también, you know, and that was like her way of like her body's way of telling me like she's getting annoyed and like either it's gonna go left or it's gonna go right. So I always knew that like when that was like, it's either she's really stressing to tell me something or she just don't know what to say. So she's talking to me, she's like, how much would you care if I was talking to Joe? I'm like, not enough, not enough. As I'm pushing her out, I'm like, not enough. Pushing her out and she is now behind the door and she's like, how much would you care? And I'm like, not enough, not enough. So I just go and take my shower. And as I'm showering, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Like, okay, now she was talking to the ex. Now she's going to Joe. And why did it low-key bother me? I don't know. I think it just bothered me because I feel like she was just trying to get under my skin and at the same time want to be my friend. Like I feel like she didn't know how to act. I don't know why. And I feel like that is hard for some people where they don't have like any social skills or something. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I'm trying to like, you know, I don't know. But I feel like they honestly like don't know how to act. So they don't know how to move and they will do stuff to like hurt you because they think like, oh, maybe this will make them my friend. Does that sound, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's so weird. Like I don't even know how to explain it. So I just finished taking my shower and I'm like, oh, she's crazy. She is crazy. Tell me why. As I'm getting out, I have a message from Joe. And I know it's Joe because it's from a different number and he's like, hey, can we talk? Joe. Back in the day, you had signatures. You could put signatures on your phone, okay? And signatures got a lot of people in trouble because people would try to be slick with it. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but my cousin, when I was dating this guy, she all of a sudden changed her signature and she was messaging him. She's like, oh yeah, have a good day. And then her signature was like, I love you. She didn't put no stars by it, nothing. And he's like, oh, I love you too. And I was like, what? Like, you f***ing her? She was like, oh, it's my signature. Thanks, love you too. And me and him would fight. And I'd be like, dude, like, what the like, what? I don't even know if I want to put him in story time because he was just nasty. I don't even like claiming that one. Okay, anyways, I don't like claiming any of them. That one just gives me asco. Ugh. I don't even care if his sister's watching this because she's like, all like, that's my brother, bitch. I don't give a f. No one cares if that's your brother. Nobody. Not at the end. No. He's gross. Smelling like back earring and all. Okay, he nasty. Anyways, that was the signature. So I was like, okay, that's Joe. If you guys have a signature story, let me know, because I feel like signatures got a lot of people in trouble back in the day, especially like the dumbass people I would talk to, because they'd be like, oh, it was just my signature. And my cousin would always do that. She got so many boyfriends in trouble, not like mine just only, but like she would do that. She was just like notorious for being a puta, like would always be messaging people's boyfriends, and all of a sudden she had a new signature and she'd be like, oh my God, look what he told me. I don't know why he told me that. And they'd be like, why did he say that? Because his signature, her signature changed all of a sudden and was like, I love you so much, or that, like, stupid shit. I'm telling you, stupid, like stupid. Where it's like a signature is usually like your name or a cute little quote or something, or, you know, and people usually put stars at the side, at the beginning and at the end. So you know, like, oh, this is their signature. This bitch wouldn't, because she knew what she was doing and she was trying to trap, and she did. And it was just like all the time. That bitch was like Virginia George. She really was. Like, she really, really, truly was. I look at it, I'm like, here we go. Like, I don't even want to deal with that because I'm dealing with this. My stomach started like to make all these kind of weird noises, and I'm like, oh my God. So as I'm getting dressed, I make my way downstairs and I hear Stitch on the phone. And she's like, yeah, that's what she said. That's what she said. Yeah, you can even ask Alexis if you want to. And as soon as she said that, I was like, because I don't want any drama. Okay. She's gonna go back home. It's gonna be all hunky-dory. I still have to be with these people. And so I'm like shaking my head. She's like, why are you shaking your head for? Like really loud. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, we're gonna get in trouble. Don't do this. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Because I'm so scared because I don't know what's to come. And she's like, can you stop? Oh, you bug. I'm like, bitch, I bug. So I start getting loud. As we're like getting loud with each other, Baltimore comes upstairs. She's like, what's going on? What's going on? Like all annoyed because we're getting loud. And I tell her, because like I am low-key scared. I'm like, she is talking to her mom. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, you asked me. And she's like, Alexis, don't be stupid. And I'm like, how is that me being stupid? So I just go to the table, and because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get breakfast started. I don't know, I start getting scared, you guys. I start getting like panicky because like I don't know how her mom moves. I don't know, and she low-key like maybe kind of like reminds me of my mom, so I don't know how she's going to do things. Like, is she just going to be like, I need to talk to you, or is she going to be like, I'm gonna beat your ass and we'll talk after? Like, I don't know. Sweating, I'm getting nervous. I have my phone on the table and I don't really like think anything of it. I'm not trying to like start anything or anything at all. I haven't even wrote Joe back. I don't know if he's messaging me to ask for like permission to talk to Sam. Like, I don't know. I don't know like what is what. I'm just like, my tongue feels numb. Have you guys ever felt that, where your anxiety is so high, your tongue just feels numb, like your jaw, when you're like, am I low-key having a stroke? Because it hurts. That's what I was feeling. I was just like, I can't even have like one because she wants all. Like, why can't we just share? Bitch, why can't we just get along, kumbaya, you do that and I do this, you know? And so I'm like worried about that, and I'm worried about what Stitch is saying, because she's kind of like changing the story a little bit and making it more than what it is. Like, no, we just went to go get, you know, the smoothies. She was just, as soon as we got home, she was yelling at me. Then we have Baltimore screaming like, no, dile la verdad. Telling her like, tell her the truth. And just like, you know, she was like lying, you know? And so I'm like, because I feel weird, and I keep trying to like not make eye contact with Baltimore, because I'm like so I'm literally, I feel like I'm having like a mini stroke panic attack, cleaning up the kitchen and hearing Baltimore yell at Stitch, and Stitch say, well, my mom said, and it literally is making me freak out. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little scared that Stitch was going to tell them what we really did. You know, we didn't go and get Slurpees or smoothies. We got something else. But I was really scared that she was going to switch up and be like, no, this is what we did instead. Like, she looked like she was getting to that point of annoyance from Baltimore calling her a fast one. Like, you can tell it was getting under her skin, and I was just like, don't fall for it, dude. Like, don't fall for it. Like, don't fall for it. Because she was getting so hot. Once it went quiet, I literally thought someone snapped, because it was just so scary. And I look over and Stitch is like, wait, just wait, just wait. I get a phone call and I answer it, and I'm thinking it's Mrs. Peach, because the phone said Mrs. Peach, and it's Nars. And she's like, Alexis, I need you to step away, and I need you to explain to me what actually happened. Like, is it true what she's saying? And she's like mad. You could tell like there's like some movement going on where it's like, oh, she's getting ready to come over here. And so I tell her, like, honestly, like, I don't know what she told you, but I don't want to get in it, because I don't. And I know some of you guys are gonna be like, that's fake as fuck, Lex. I didn't want to get into it, you guys, because again, like I'm telling y'all, she's gonna be able to leave. I have to stay with these people, okay? I don't have to, but I am staying. Oh man, that just like, that's bread. No, I have to stay with these people, and I'm like, I don't want I don't want to risk it for the biscuit. Like, I don't want to risk it because it is, I don't want to risk anything. I don't want any drama. I just wanted to like go out, have a good time. And I feel like it would have just been, it would have been left. I feel like if she wouldn't have kept poking at Baltimore, it would have been left. Like, it honestly would. I feel like the next day we would have came around, it would just been like, it would have been a whatever. Like, dude, we got away doing like sucias. Like, why did you have to like keep going? And I think it's because she was like wanting to start the pot. I don't know. So she's like asking me, yelling at me, like, I need you, like, are you listening? Like, I need, and so I'm like, damn, like, why do like all these freaking adults talk like that? And I know it's like somewhat normal in some households to like, you know, talk to children like that, but it really made me feel some way. Like, it literally angered Lex. Even angers me. Like, when people try to talk like that to my kids who are in my family and stuff like that, I'm like, no, that's not what you're gonna do. Like, no. Like, even when we're in Texas and my grandma wanted to scold like my children, no, you can talk to me. Don't talk to them like that. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't like how some people approach people's kids. Like, I just don't like it. And I get it, like, it takes a village, but there's just a certain way to come at the situation. Don't get ghetto and crazy, my baby. Like, she is 3, okay? So I just keep saying, like, I don't want to get in it. Like, I would appreciate if you didn't talk to me like that. And at times, like, I would say, you know, things like that. Like, don't talk to me like that, please. And she yelled, was like, excuse me? Like, do you not understand the situation that's going on? Like, excuse me? Like, you know, upset with me. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like, please don't talk to me like that. And like, I did feel uncomfortable. And I know sometimes that does irk some adults when children are very direct with their feelings. Like, this makes me feel uncomfortable because they almost like take it as like, I don't know, like a threat or something. I'm not sure why. Anyways, so she just tells me to tell Stitch to get her shit and that she's going to be picking her up. And I'm like, okay, I can tell her that. So as I get off the phone, I got Sam right there and she's like, oh, now you're scared? You're so fake. And I'm like, I'm not scared. I'm just not gonna sit here and lie and say that Baltimore said this and that when she didn't in fact do it. She's like, why do you care? I don't care. I just don't like how it's like, that's not, she didn't do all that. Yeah, she, you know, said some stuff, but she's not doing everything that Stitch is saying. So Stitch is like, oh, so it's like that? And I'm like, dude, like, I'm cool with her getting her ass beat. Like, best believe I'm cool with that. But I don't like how you added everything else. Like, don't add everything else. It already had enough seasoning. You didn't need to burn it, okay? I'm trying to explain myself and I'm like, where the fuck is Baltimore? Where the fuck is Baltimore? And I'm like, oh, hell no. Did she really like just take off? No, she's upstairs and I guess she is getting ready for the day. Supposedly she doesn't care. And I'm like, I know she cares. Like, I know she cares. I just know. As we're waiting, I'm like literally like scared, and I don't know why, especially because like I like this kind of like confrontation sometimes. There's times where like I'm like, oh, I'm about it, and then it's like weird sometimes when I get like overly like scared. I don't know, I hate it. I hate it when I get like that because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you sometimes like seeing stuff in like fighting, like why are you acting scared now, you know? We hear a knock at the door, and before Sam can go to the door to like fully open it, Nars kicks that bitch. Okay, and it's like very dramatic. Like, it's very dramatic because I'm like, dude, but at the same time I'm like, she's in mama bear mode. Okay, and she's like, where the is Baltimore? And we're like, upstairs. She's like running upstairs, and you just hear screaming. Baltimore saying like, no, it did not happen like that. That she did not tell her that she told her X, Y, and Z. She did not tell her A, B, C, D, E, you know? And I'm following up behind. It had nothing to do with me. It was none of my business. But I always would get into stuff like that. Like, when someone is like getting yelled at or something, I always feel like I gotta go to be the Captain Save-A-Ho. You know what I mean? And I don't know why. Like, I remember going with Babe. We were in California. We were with my friend Sin. And we're walking down by Portos. We're walking by Portos. This girl is like about to bash someone's window in. And it's like a fight breaking out. And I wanted to get in it. And like Rudy grabbed me so hard, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was just like so used to like, you know, like, I'm gonna get in it, yo también, like, and Rudy like pulled me, and I was like, what? Like, I got mad at him, but he was like, it has nothing to do with you, like nothing to do with you. And good thing like we didn't get in it, because like the girl ended up breaking the window, the guys breaking that window, they ended up fighting, cops ended up getting called, and it was like, it was a situation I didn't need to be in. But like, I would always be like, what's going on here, and wanted to be up in the mix and the cheese man, the cheese, you know? And I had no business being all up in the queso at all. So I'm just hearing them like fight. Stitch sees that I'm going upstairs and she starts to go up there too. I don't know, she thought like we were gonna be tag teaming Baltimore, but I wanted Baltimore to get yelled at for what she did. I just didn't think it was cool that she added extra and said this and called her all these names. Like, if anything, what she did was wrong. Yell at her for that, but don't add X, Y, and Z, okay? Like, it's just, it wasn't cool to me, and I know it was pissing off Stitch, but I didn't really understand, like, why is she doing all that? Like, she was going to get it handled regardless. She didn't need to add, you know? Nars starts yelling as we go upstairs and asks us, like, what the F do we want? What the F do we want? And I tell her, I'm like, nothing. Like, I just want to know, like, what's going on. And she's like, what? What do you mean what's going on? Like, you know what's going on. Like, you're not stupid. I'm not. But I was just kind of, I guess, I wanted to make sure that Baltimore was going to be okay. I know. Weird, right? I just wanted to make sure that she was going to be okay because I feel like it wasn't, like, it wasn't going to be a fair ass beating. Like, it truly wasn't. It was not cool. Did Baltimore deserve it? Yeah. But I feel like it would have been, I wanted her to get her ass beat for what she was guilty of, not what someone was saying allegedly. So there's lots of screaming, lots of fighting. Baltimore is scared of Nars. She is not getting close to her. Like, literally, this is Nars. This is Baltimore. My nose is the bed. They're literally like this, and they like, Nars keeps getting closer and Baltimore keeps getting over here, okay? And it was just like very apparent, and I'm like, oh my God. Nars wanted to hurt her. She wanted to like handle her. She was like, I don't care like what you think of her. Like, if you have a problem with her, you tell me. And I was like nodding my head like, yeah, that's, yeah. Because I've always believed in that. Like, if you have a problem with someone's kid, you don't go there and punk the child. You go to their mama or daddy and you let them know, like, hey, this, you know? And Baltimore wasn't, like, really fully understanding because she's like, no, it's mi casa. Like, she was still talking crazy, but, like, walking back, like, why are you doing the C-walk, bitch? Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're gonna talk crazy, like, buck up or shut up, you know? And so they were, like, arguing. Nars was pointing to me and she was like, and you, what is up with you? Like, why, like, what is wrong with you? Like, you were taking Sam out too. I heard about all of that. Why are you taking her out? Like, why am I taking Stitch out? And I'm like, we just wanted Slurpees. And she looks at me, she's like, Slurpees? In my head, I'm like, when your daughter was slurping something, just kidding. But I was just like, yeah, Slurpees. Like, I was like staying with the story, and I was so scared that Stitch was gonna be like, we did not go and just get Slurpees, because she was looking so irritated, and you could tell she was just looking at me like, you're fake, you know? There was so much yelling and like everything going on. I was just like so overly annoyed. I really wanted to fast forward it. Like, I was bored because I'm like, okay, no one's getting their ass beat, and it's just like a bunch of like hoopla yelling. Hurry up and get it done, because I was getting so tired of it.
And all that. Just he was on his phone.
Nars threatens to hit Baltimore and is like, I'm gonna beat your ass. And Baltimore is like, no, you're not, because I'm gonna call the cops. Like, I'll call the cops. And it gets into one of those situations where it's like, it's so uncomfortable. Like, dude, just stop. And so Nars is like telling me, like, you are like, you know, like, why am I always like, you know, like being the bad influence, you know? And I'm just like, quiet. Baltimore comes to my defense and she's like, déjala. And like tells her to like leave me alone, that like I didn't drag Stitch out, that like she walked her happy ass out with me and brought her happy ass back. So I kind of felt like, okay, bitch, we cool. We're cool. It was just awkward. I wanted it to fast forward. I wanted to end already, because it wasn't going anywhere, and the insults were just being thrown around, where it's like, this is gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. We hear Mr. Peach come up the stairs, and he's like screaming to shut the f up, like screaming at the top of his lungs. All of us are just like, and we just get quiet. He grabs Sam very roughly and like pushes her down and like down the stairs, like, come on, let's go. And he like tells Nars to get the f out of the room, Like, he is just livid. Like, when a man gets like this kind of scary, I tend to just like be quiet, cry, or pee, because I'm just like, oh my God, like I get really, really like anxious and like scared. So I just like, and I go straight to the restroom. Like everyone is like trying to like disappear because we don't know if he's gonna snap. We don't know if this is like his 13th reason why. Like he is just livid. So I just stay in the restroom and I just like hear everybody like, you know, go here, go there, walking a little chit chat, and just like, and I don't come out until it's like super, super quiet because I am scared. Because I'm like, what if I come out and he like killed everybody? Like I am just scared. Like it was like he was irritated, but like a different kind of irritated where he's like, enough, you know what I'm saying? It's a different type of annoyed that he was on. So I come out, everybody is gone, and I go into the room and Baltimore is crying, and it's very awkward because how do you like, what do? You know, how do you console like a grown-ass woman? And it's like, I get we were sneaking out and stuff like that, but she didn't have to say what she did to Stitch. At the end of the day, she is a child. You are a grown-ass woman. These are your consequences. Just kidding. But no, for real. Like, I feel like she liked to insult, and when she was, you know, put in her place, she always would, like, bitch down sometimes. And it just made me mad because I'm like, why do you do it? Why do you throw the stones if you can't handle the heat? Like, stay the hell back. So I just sit right there next to her. Estás bien? And she's like, do I look like it? And I'm like, well, she didn't hit you, or did she? She's like, no, that's not the point, Alexis. Like, you put me in these uncomfortable situations. Like, why can't you just be a good kid? And I'm like, I could see where she was coming from, but it's like, dude, what the hell? So it was my fault, I feel, to a certain extent, because at the end of the day, you are a grown-ass woman. I did not tell you to fight Stitch. Like, you said what you said, and that's on you, you know? So I'm just sitting there, and her tears turn from to anger. And she's like, why are you like this? Like, why are you like this? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're gonna come out pregnant. You're not gonna finish school. And I'm like, I'm not even in school now. And so she's like, are you not getting the point? Are you not getting the point? And so she starts, you know, getting upset with me, and I get up and she's like, sit down. And I'm like, for what? Like, you're just being mean to me. Like, she's like, oh, you're just being mean to me. So she starts mimicking me, and I'm like, oh my God, like I should have went along with it and let you get your ass beat and say that, yeah, you did say this and you did say that, but it wouldn't sit with me right. She's like telling me to sit down and that I'm going to hear her because I don't have anyone around me that is taking care of me, and to tell me that when I'm wrong and that I am wrong. So I literally, I'm just like sitting there, I'm letting her go off. I tune a lot of it out, you guys, because it was just like I tell you, she repeated herself a lot, how like my body and stuff, that she can just tell, and that I need to respect myself. And she was just like making me feel horrible, very, very horrible. And that gente like me don't want their kids, don't want me around their kids, that like I will ruin them. Like, I will ruin them. She's like, you see how Nars was yelling at you? I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Like, you are the kid that no one wants around their kid because you will spoil them. Again, the whole rotten apple thing. Like, you are a rotten apple, Alexis. Like, I know you get your feelings hurt, and I know you think that what I'm saying is harsh, but you rotten them. You're just rotten. And I'm like, okay, because what do I say? What do I say to that? Like, no, I'm not. And she's just gonna have me sit there and keep telling me again. So she just keeps telling me to like do better, that she knows that I can be better, but that she's seen so many girls like me time and time that they just end up becoming whores. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, no, don't just okay me, do better. And I'm like, okay. I just sit there, take it, and I just go to one of the rooms and I just act like I'm picking up stuff. I felt like I was going to faint, so I just went to like the closest room nearby, and I just started like picking up whatever, because I really felt like it was all my fault. Like, I honestly felt like, oh my God, here we go again. Like, it's all my fault. I felt horrible because if I wouldn't have taken Stitch with me and I would have like went out by myself, there wouldn't have been a fight. There wouldn't have been anything for anyone to say anything, because it would just be me and the focus would have just been on me. And it wouldn't have escalated from me to Stitch to Baltimore to Nars to Mr. Peach. Like, it was all four, right? I feel like if it was just me, it wouldn't have like went all that way. It would have just made like a halt where it needed to be. I was like really upset with myself, because like why can't I stop, and why do I keep doing it? Like, I constantly remember telling myself like, here we are again. I remember being in so many situations where it's like I could have just did nothing and this wouldn't be happening. And it kind of felt like I put myself in shitty situations, and then I was upset about the consequences of them. And I just remember a lot of the times talking to myself and being like, oh my God, like why? So even when I was doing like bad stuff, I couldn't even really enjoy it fully, because I was upset that I was in this situation, if that makes any sense at all. A little bit of time passes by and I'm just like in a funk, like a whole poor me, you know, I'm in like a little funk, and Mr. Peach comes over and he's really upset with me. Extremely upset. And he asks me if I can go and sit down and talk to him, and I'm like, yeah. So I go downstairs and we are talking, and he's asking me what's wrong with me, you know, like, what's wrong with you? What do you need? Tell me what you need so I can fix you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you mean what I mean? What do you need that I can give you to fix you? And I'm kind of just like, what? And Baltimore's just sitting there in silence for a while, and he is very upset with me because the girls are in trouble because of like my actions. And again, I can see it from their perspective, and I just apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, no, this is eso. Why do you do what you do, and what do you need so I can fix you? And I'm like, I don't need anything. Clearly you do, so what do you need? And it was just, he kept telling me it and kept repeating it to me, and he didn't stop until like I cried. I was just so overwhelmed because I didn't know what to tell him. Like, what do you say? I'm sorry that I'm a broken child, and I went out and I think by giving my body to this person I'm going to feel better, and I don't know, like, I don't know what to tell him. I don't know. And he's like screaming in my face like, no, dime ahorita, like, what do you need? That is like too much at this point. That what do I need? Because at this point it's just embarrassing, and he doesn't like that people think that he's not even helping me. I break down, and that's when Baltimore decides to step in and tells him to leave me alone, like to leave me alone. And he like kind of yells at her and tells her, no, you're complaining about her, she's complaining about her, that what isn't. She's like, I'm not complaining about her, like, and tells him that I didn't force Stitch to go out with me, that the niña quiere también, like she wanted to too. And he's like, no, like that I need to be fixed already, that like, what is it gonna take? And that this is what happens to kids who don't get their ass beat. And I was so scared that he was gonna beat my ass. I was really like, please don't touch me, because I will bite your face off. I swear to God. So he's like screaming at her that this is what happens. And she's like, yeah, cállate. Like, she's getting upset with him too. But I don't know if it's because like she did feel for me or like what. I'm telling you, this lady was so hot and cold. I didn't know like what, you know. So he's like screaming in my face and tells me that like little girls like me end up pregnant, you know. So like they were speaking this into existence, because I didn't have my kids yet. So I was telling him like, no. When I did get pregnant, you know, all these people were like the happiest people ever, because they're like, your life is over, bitch, your life is over, joke's on you, motherfucker. He's like telling me and stuff that like I need to shape up, that it's embarrassing, it was supposed to be fun, that like, why can't we just do fun kid stuff, that we have to go out and be in the calle. And that was valid. So I was just like crying. He's like, why are you crying? I'm not even touching you, like, don't give me a reason. And she's like, yeah, like tells him like to get out now. So he just ends up like throwing his hands up, and he's all annoyed, and he's saying that like we're gonna have dinner, and that to not even bring an ounce of attitude to the dinner at all, that not to even act like, oh, poor me, because it's not poor you, because you know what you're doing, and he doesn't want to hear it. And she's like, we're not going, like how are we gonna be like rewarding bad behavior? And he's like, we're going, like everyone's going, like stop, like I'm so like I'm up to here. And he keeps telling everyone that he's gonna have a heart attack because of how much pressure he's under, like just to shut up and just to show up. And she's like, yeah, and hushes him out the door. So as he's leaving out the door, I'm like kind of like hyperventilating and stuff like that, like just like, because I was really scared. I was really scared, and my bladder feels really full, where I think like I'm going to like pee, and I don't want to pee on her stuff again. So I'm just like that, right? She tells me to go to the restroom and get cleaned up. I'm like, oh my god, thank God. So I'm going to the restroom on the toilet. I'm like crying, and I think where I held like my urine for so long, I got like a bladder infection. So like it was really painful, you guys, and I had to stay in the restroom for like long periods of time. It like really hurt. I didn't have someone to go to and be like, hey, can you take me to the doctor? Because they weren't like responsible for me, you know, like my mom's locked up. So I had to go through this pain like by myself, and it was like really bad. Like I just remember cramping like so much, and it just hurting, like my area just feeling like very irritated, like very irritated. And so I kept spending like long amount of times in the restroom. So the day had to still continue, and we had to go to dinner. So any chance that I had to go to the restroom, even if I felt like a little bit, or even if I drink a little bit of anything, I had to go to the toilet, and I had to sit on there for long periods of time. And Baltimore was getting so mad that I kept doing this. She just kept telling me, oh, why am I being so dramatic? That what am I doing in there? That like what am I doing? What am I doing? Like what's in there? And I'm telling her like me duele abajo, and she's like, you know why, right? You know why? And before I could even be like, oh my god, that's not why, she was like, because you're over there acting like that. That's why it hurts. That's why it hurts. That's God's way of telling you to stop doing what you're doing. That's why you stop doing that stuff. It won't hurt no more. But you want to be out there in the calle. That's why it hurts. And I literally felt like, okay, maybe that's one of the reasons why, because he's dirty and not the cleanest. And so I'm like literally like, okay, like I'm in tears. It hurts so bad, you guys. I'm texting Tommy, asking her like, is there anything I can take? And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, it hurts down there. She even thinks I have something, and she's like, you know what, like I can make an appointment and I can take you to like, you know, one of the clinics. And I'm like, how am I gonna pay for it? She's like, don't worry about that, like it'll be free. And I'm like telling her like it hurts really bad, like I don't know like what it is. I'm thinking that like it's a UTI or something. And she's like, what are the symptoms? And like Tommy's over here being like my nurse and stuff, and I'm like crying. She's like, let me just go pick you up. And I'm like, I don't want to go with you. I don't want to go with you. I'm still on that. I should have just went with Tommy, but I just did not want to go with her. Like I was still like, no, I don't want to, which sometimes I just want to be my own ass. I keep going to the restroom, and I don't know how to like stress it enough, like how much it was, you guys. It was like really bad. Any ounce of anything I drank, I was in the restroom for like hours, but it was like minutes, you know, half an hour. And you know, we didn't have no freaking Instagram or TikTok or anything to be chilling on the toilet where it's like, oh, time passed, you know. No, I was literally just sitting there, and like any type of like little bit of urine that would come out would burn. And so I was sitting there, my leg was shaking, and I'm like hitting my leg because it hurts so much. And I have freaking Baltimore pounding on the door like, get out, what are you doing, get out, like so pissed off that I'm in there. She's seeing it as me hiding from her, and I'm like, I'm not hiding, like me duele abajo. And she's like, you know why, right? I'm like, okay, like, and what's that gonna do? I acknowledge that, and what is it gonna do? She's like, eh, and like gets mad at me. And so I asked her, I'm like, you know, like, do you have like a pill or something? She's like, I could take you to the store, and if you have money, you can buy one. And I'm like, why are you like that? And she's like what? And I'm like, I see, like, if you were in pain, I would help you. She's like, well, of course you would help me. It's my house. That, like, you know, the pastillas that she would be taking are in her house. So I was like, okay. So we start getting ready because we are about to go. The whole time, you guys, I feel so uncomfortable down there. Like, it's like a burning sensation where it's like any type of movement, my underwear hurt. Like I literally felt like I couldn't move this way, that way. Like it hurt so much. And I'm like, did this all just really just happen because like I was holding my pee, or like what's going on? So I'm like trying to replay like, how did I get this? Like how? And I'm like, you know, uncomfortable in my face. Like it is so uncomfortable, y'all. Like I remember getting bladder infections a lot, and like my mom being like, get out of the restroom. And I would have to tell her like it hurts, and she would let me sit on the toilet for like hours because it just hurt so much. And so I was kind of like in a kind of like a bitchy attitude, like just moving like this because like it hurts so much. And I'm like trying to find like the right comfortable. And then where you hurt so much, you can kind of like, your body gets used to the pain, if that makes sense, and you can kind of like ride it out. We're heading over to Mr. Peach's house, and Baltimore is kind of complaining that she doesn't even want to go, that she doesn't even know why she has to, and she's like cussing up a storm about like, you know, Nars and just like, you know, talking all this smack on her. And I'm like, then why are we going? Like I don't want to go either. And she's like, because you caused this mess, because you caused it. And I'm like, what did I cause? And I'm like literally going like this because it hurts so much. And I'm like, what did I cause? And she tells me to stop, you know, being stupid. They're like, I know what I do, and that she shouldn't have to sit here and tell me thing by thing what I did, that I should just know, and that it's very exhausting. And so I just sit there and quiet, and I'm like, and she's like, ¿Qué tienes? What's going on? I'm like, te dije que me duele abajo. Like, it really hurts. And she's like, why didn't you just take a pastilla? I'm like, I asked you. She's like, you should have just grabbed one. I'm like, I don't know which one to take. Y'all, I was so scared of like, what one should I take? How many of this? How many of that? 200 of this, 300 of that, 400 of that. What this? What that? What's a painkiller? What's this? What's a Loratap? I was so scared of like OD. And so I was like, you know, and she's like, I'm not your mom. I shouldn't have to tell you like, here, this is the one you take. And I was like, why can't you help me? Like I just remember sitting in the car hurting and like trying to clench abajo and asking her like, why can't you just help me? Like I remember getting like chills, you guys, where like I was in so much pain and it hurt so much that I was just like, like why? Like why can't you just tell me like, hey, here's this, here's that. So we get there and everyone is kind of like on like good behavior, and no one's like really being snarky. Everyone is just acting like nothing happened. I hate situations like that where there's so much drama and everyone wants to put like on a fake show and be like, oh, haha, hey. I did notice that we did have 2 other guests there that were like friends, family friends. So I was like, okay, maybe that's why. But I feel like a lot of the times too that they would do this and it would irk me so bad because I was so used to like, my mom would hold a grudge so bad and we didn't get to like fake. So I was so used to that. And when I got with my husband, they sometimes do that too, where like there could be so much drama, but like when the family all gets together, it's like, oh, hi, like all happy. And I'd be like, no, Rudy. And Rudy would be like, that's just what family does sometimes, you know? And it's just like a learning, I don't know. I was just so used to like, well, my mama don't let that fly, you know? And I was just so like, ugh. So when I would see like the Peaches doing it, it would like irk me. I'm not gonna lie, it would make me mad. It'd be like, y'all fake as f, because I wanted fighting and I didn't like how they would switch up, you know? But I feel like the kids, like Stitch, Lilo, and Sam, we were still on that like F everybody, but the adults were being mature, I guess, and were like getting along and mingling together. So as we're inside, I'm still like hurting. Like when I'm telling you guys, like it was hurting where I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck? That it just like hurt so bad. And I pull Peaches to the side and I'm like, can I talk to you? And she's like really annoyed with me, which I kind of understand because it's like, okay, the whole situation, you know, everyone is mad at Alexis Jayda right now. Está bien, but I'm hurting, so like help your girl out. So I explained the situation. I'm like, me duele abajo, like I don't know what's going on. And she was like, ¿Qué? Like just like annoyed with me. I'm like, it hurts down there. She's like, you know why, right? And I'm like, oh bitch, here we go again. Here comes another and I told you. I don't want to hear that. I just, help me, please. It hurts. So it takes me like a good like 5 minutes to convince her to help me out and to give me a pill. And she's like, well, what kind do you need or what? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, me duele abajo. Like, I just need something. She's like, don't talk to me like that. I'm doing you a favor. So I'm like, like, I don't know what I need to take. Like, it hurts. I was talking to Tammy and she was telling me like, just take some ibuprofen. It should help with it. Have them give you an ibuprofen. See if you can take an ibuprofen 800. And so I'm like telling her like, do you have like an ibuprofen 800? She's telling me that that's like way too strong, that I'm not hurting that much. And I'm like, no, like it really hurts. She's like, hey. She ends up giving me an ibuprofen and it like feels like it takes forever to kick in, you guys. Like I am hurting and we are going to go eat at this restaurant and I'm like, I need to go restroom, and I'm like in and out of the restroom as fast as I can, but like it's literally hurting. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not want to go because I'm like, I'm like hurting, and the Peaches were just like being really rude, and Mr. Peach thought I was like acting up and trying to hide in the restroom because I didn't want to face my consequences. And I keep telling him like, no, it's not that, like I'm hurting. He's like, where are you hurting? I'm like, I'm hurting down there. And he's like, are you pregnant? And I'm like, no, like it hurts. And he's like, you know why, right? Ooh, su puta madre. I'm like, okay. And so I'm just like quiet, and he's like telling me that just to kind of like toughen it up, his wife gave birth and she was backing at it. And I'm like, okay, well, like it hurts. And I keep like, you know, explaining to him. He gets annoyed with me. He's like, yeah, like, because he doesn't want to hear me whining. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like apologizing, like I'm sorry, but like it hurts. And he's like, oh, how convenient, after you like everything up, but then you're hurting. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I don't want to hear it. And I'm like, okay. So I go and sit next to Sam, Stitch, Lilo, and they're kind of like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm hurting down there. And then you and they're like, all of a sudden, and I'm like, I know, right? Like the timing. And I'm like, ugh. And I think Stitch can see that like I really am hurting. And she's like, you should try to go heat up a water bottle and just have it between your legs and like it'll help. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I should do that, huh? So I go heat up a water bottle. I get yelled at for putting the water bottle in the microwave, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And they're like, what do you need it for? And I'm like, cramps. And they're like, ew. I'm like, yeah. And so I go sit down and have it between my legs, and I'm literally just hurting. And Sam is like, why are you gonna go? Like, if you're just gonna be making a scene at the restaurant, like, why are you gonna go? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I want to stay, but I want to be included. And she's like, why are you so weird? The restroom is being occupied downstairs, so I have to go upstairs, and y'all already know where this is going. So I'm like, God, I gotta go again, because I was having a little bit of sip of water. My mom always told me that when you take a pill and stuff to like make it go through your system quicker and work faster is to drink water. So I drink water, and I was trying to help out down there. So I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like it really, really hurts. So I'm like, oh, I gotta go pee. And I'm like asking, like, you know, when we're going, and everyone's like, oh, we're gonna go in a little bit. They're just talking. And I'm like, okay, great. So I'm just literally like trying to hold on. And I'm like, maybe once like we get in the car and stuff, like my brain will tell my body like, hey, there's nowhere to stop. Like you have to like pull through. And I feel like maybe I'm more whiny because I know I can go into the restroom here. I don't know. Does it make sense? It kind of does to me. So I tell him like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick. Mr. Peach is like, where are you going? Where are you going? So I'm going upstairs, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the restroom. The one down here is occupied. And he's like, okay, just don't stay in there for long. Like, we're gonna be going soon. And I'm like, okay. Those two other family friends are not really relevant because they're just there. They're just like mingling. They're not really saying much. They didn't really like me either because they just see me as a bad kid. So it was just like whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll hurry up. I ended up staying up there, you guys, for like 20 minutes because it hurt so bad, and there was like blood in my urine where I was just like pushing so hard, like it just really hurt down there. And I just like wanted to cry, and I was like, okay, come on, like trying to like rush myself, but at the same time I'm like, I can't, like, that's it. Like, I need to soak in the tub or something to make it, like, not hurt, because it literally felt it was, like, on fire. It hurt so damn bad. I don't know how to explain it. I'm in the restroom for so long. I'm like, yeah, they are going to leave me. They're going to leave me. I know it. Like, I'm just in here. No one has came looking for me. Like, they left me. So I finish up, I go downstairs, and no one is there. They left me. I'm not mad fully, but like I kind of understand it, and at the same time I'm kind of relieved because I'm hurting down there. So I text Mr. Peach, and I'm like, you guys left, and he like just messaged me like, don't start. I write Mrs. Peach, and I'm like, you guys left. Since I wanted to be in the restroom the whole time, that they assumed that I didn't want to go, so I'm like, oh, okay. They're gonna be gone for quite some time. I already know they are. They're gonna go get they're gonna go eat, then they're gonna go to dessert, and they were talking about like, oh, we're gonna go to the movie. They're gonna have like a full, like, blown, have fun, all of that. And they're probably gonna even have more fun because I'm not there, to be honest. So I was like, okay. So I'm all ask her, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take a bath. I used Mr. Peach and Mrs. Peach's bathroom. I shouldn't have. I was dead ass wrong for it, but I was hurting and I wanted to like relax. So I get her bath bombs, make it all nice. I did not know that you're not supposed to use anything scented because abajo, dumb, young, naive. As soon as I get in there, it's too hot for me and it hurts down there. And I don't know if it was like the bath bombs that are scented or what, but it burned. So I just remember literally holding on to my stuff like, because it was on fire. Like, it hurt so bad. So I let all of that water down, and then I fill it all the way back up, and it's not as hot. So I'm like literally sitting in there waiting for it to heat back up so I can add more water. And I'm just like taking my sweet ass time in there because I'm like, they're gonna be gone for a long time. I'm messaging the ex and stuff and letting him know I'm hurting. He's like upset that I'm hurting because he's like, how are we gonna do stuff if you're hurting? And I'm like, we're gonna have to wait. So I'm fighting with him about that. He's upset because he's like, what do you have or what? And I'm like, if anything, it'd be from you. Like, you're the only person. He's like, no, like, I'm clean. And he's like telling me that he thinks that I'm lying and that he's gonna come over. And I tell him and stuff like, no, I'm gonna get in trouble. And he like tells me like, if you really love me, you'll let me go over. I just keep telling him like, no, like, I do love you. I just can't have you over because like, what if I get in trouble? And he convinces me so good that I tell him to come over. I'm like, okay, come over. I take a full shower. So that's one bath, another bath, and then I took a shower and I used their stuff. I didn't use like their blades or nothing like that. I just used the shampoo and stuff, and I was just like loving it. I was like, you smell real good, bitch. So I don't know how or what, but he like convinces me really good, and he is like, I'll be over there in a little bit. And I tell him like, don't park so close. He's like, okay. I'm thinking like, okay, like we can like make out in like the garage, you know, like spend time there. Because he was like, I really need to see you. Like, I really need to see you. And this whole time I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like he just like really wants to see me. Like he like really wants to see me. And like if I don't entertain him, then he'll go entertain somebody else. I know, y'all. I know. So as I'm like getting ready, I go outside, I text him like, where are you at? And I tell him like, remember to park like this way? He's like, yeah, I know. He comes from the side and it's like dark. I still kind of remember like how like it felt like everything was just like really like quiet. Then you have like the light on and it makes like everything look like kind of orangey and like all the like the tree bushes and stuff, and it just like you can hear the crickets, and it's not like cold but it's not too hot. It's like the perfect weather, and everything just feels like, oh my god, and you get like goosebumps because you know you're doing something you're not supposed to. Comes from the side and he's like really happy to see me, and we just start kissing, and he like tells me like, so like where are we gonna do it? And I'm like, I told you like I can't, like it hurts. And he's like, oh, like no it doesn't, like I'm like after a while like it won't hurt. And I don't want to irritate him because every time like I would tell him no, he would like give me like the guilt trip or be like, I thought you said it was mine. No bitch, it's mine. So we go into the garage. I'm like literally not thinking like at all, and I'm like trying to convince him like, let's just talk, like let's just cuddle. And he's like, I didn't come for cuddles, I didn't come to talk, like we talk all the time. And I'm like just trying to like, you know, like no, like it really hurts down there. And I'm like telling him like over and over like it really hurts. And he's like telling me that like, oh, he'll make it feel better. And I'm like, no, like it really hurts. When you tell someone no, no is no. Don't let them bullshit their way into doing whatever they want. When you say no, it means no. Period. That's it. So I literally kept telling him no, I don't want to do this. And he is like guilt tripping me into it. Like, I thought you said this. I thought you said that. I thought you can always change your mind. And what? And what? I said that yesterday. So he makes me feel bad. And he's like, so then why did I come? And I'm like, to spend time with me. And he's like, what? Like, makes me just feel like really crappy. And then he starts talking about Stitch. He's like, is your friend Stitch here? And I'm like, ew, like why do you want to know? And so we kind of start getting into like a little like baby argument. And he's like, what? Like, no, I'm just asking for my friend Buttercream. And I'm like, why do you care? And he's like, I don't, like I hate how jealous you get. He's like, why do you get so jealous? And he like is trying to make me So I'm like, oh, it's so cute how you get. And he's like playing me. And the whole time in my head, I know it. I know he's playing the cards. I know what he's doing. I know he's thinking that he's like some, like, oh, I got her, y'all. I got her. No. And so I'm just like quiet. And he's like, don't be like that. And so this literally is going on for like 15-20 minutes. And I finally just give in. I give in. And I'm not going to go into all the details. But I'm like crying. I'm crying. It turns him on more that like I'm crying, and we literally hear someone go boom, boom, boom on the garage door, and I dress so quickly, and so does he, and Baltimore comes, and she opens the door, and she's like, ¿Qué estás haciendo, Alexis? And I'm like, nothing. And she looks at him, and she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna go with this stupid ass face. And before he's like passing her, she grabs him by like his arm. She's like, cuando like, she tells him in Spanish, when someone says no, it means no. You don't get to do whatever you want. And he's like, ¿Qué? Like looks at her all weird. There's a camera in the garage, y'all. I don't know how I could forget. I don't know how I missed it. Like and he just looks at her, and she's like, are you listening? Do you hear me? And he's like, see, and like just leaves. And I don't know why I start to cry because I feel so embarrassed. And she like asks me like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like telling me to go into the house. And I'm like, okay. So I go into the house, and it is humiliating because Mrs. Peach, Mr. Peach are there. Nars is there. And I know that they know that like what I was doing. And Stitch just has like this biggest smug face on, and she just like, and I feel so gross, like, y'all knew anything. So I go upstairs into the restroom again, and I'm literally just sitting on the toilet with my freaking stuff just like all out on the toilet, and I'm like trying to pee, and like I'm still like I have sangre and stuff. And so I text Tommy, and I'm like, what time are you gonna give me tomorrow? I did you know what, and like it hurts. She's like, why did you do you know what? Like you're gonna make it worse. And I'm like, I don't know. But I was like really open to telling Tommy, and Tommy was just like scolding me, but at the same time she was like, you know what, like it's already done, like I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. And I'm like, yeah. So I hear a knock at the door, and it's Baltimore, and she comes in, and she like tells me she's disappointed in me, that it's so hard to like feel bad for me when I do stuff like this. And I'm like, yeah, I know, like I don't know why I keep doing it. And she's just like, I can't just like do stuff just because someone's feeling bad for, like I feel bad for them, that like that's how I'm just pretty much just gonna be used all my life. And she's like giving me like kind of like a heartfelt speech, and saying that like just because like I'm looking for love doesn't mean that like I need to like do that. And she was like, it was really disappointing watching you do what you did because he like guilt tripped you into it. In my head I was like, how long were you guys watching? Like that's really disgusting. And she's like, don't worry, we didn't really see much, but like they got the gist of it, you know? I had so many questions, but when I was talking to Mr. Peach, he said that I had no right to ask those questions. That is his house. That, like I had no right to like want to know anything or anything at all. And Mrs. Peach told me that like they deleted it, like they didn't even want to see it, and that she was really disappointed, and that she was second guessing if I could even be around her kids, because it's one thing to know, but it's another to see. And I was like, okay. So they sent me home with Baltimore, and Baltimore, even on the car way, like they kept wanting to talk about it. And like I get it, because they wanted me to understand, but it was so uncomfortable because I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And she was just like wanting to know like everything, like all the stuff that like I do. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. And she's like, why not? Like I don't understand, like you're so comfortable doing this in someone's garage, like I don't understand. And I'm like, it's just different, like it's different like doing it than like having to talk to someone about it. And she's like, why? Like I don't understand. And so she was like making me feel like guilty and want to talk to her about it. I'm like, it feels like you're guilt tripping me into talking to okay. And so I tell her that I'm gonna go with a family friend tomorrow. And she's like, to do what? And I tell her like I need to go to a doctor's appointment. She's like, oh, so you are pregnant? And I'm like, I'm not, like I'm gonna go to a doctor's appointment. So that sparked a rumor. So go back home, good night, sit on the toilet again, y'all, again, for like the longest time because it hurt so freaking much. And he the ex is texting me. He's telling me that we need to take a break, that he doesn't like how I set him up. And I'm like, I didn't set you up. Like, they were supposed to be out. So he's feeling like I betrayed him. And I feel like if anything, he just felt guilty. That made everything really, really uncomfortable. And the next day, Tommy picks me up. I am like scared because I really was like, if I get in this car with Tommy, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not coming back. Tommy picks me up. I go and get checked out. Tell Tommy like I want to go back, and she's like, it's fine. Like it's fine that like she has her own stuff going on, dealing with her kids, that she don't want to deal with another one. That this is like the only thing that she's gonna do. And I'm like, okay. So we go. I get some medication, and she literally drops me right back off. Like literally drops me back off. She kept her word, and I really appreciated it because I was like, oh my god, she's going to explode because of all the other stuff I was telling her and how they've given me hell. But she was so like in her own world with like her kids, her situation, her baby daddies and stuff like that, that like she was just like, I'm just gonna do this so your mom doesn't kill me, and I'm just gonna like whatever, you know. And I really, really was like, like it really felt like it was such a sigh of relief, you guys. So I was just like, oh my god, thank God, because I was just so like, because I really thought I was gonna have to fight her. I was really planning in my head like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Tommy literally picked me up, asked me if I was good, if there's anything I wanted to talk to her about, anything like that. And I was like, no. She asked me a little bit about like the situation down there, all that. And we went to Walmart. She picked me up some medicine so that if I'm ever hurting, I can just take them. And then we filled my prescription. She paid for that. I didn't have to pay for it. And took me back. Like literally took me back. I thought, bitch, we were gonna eat or something. But she was like, no. And so she like took me back, and I got dropped off, and I had my freaking little bag. Okay, it's like the lunch bag that they give you, right? And like they staple it. And I walk in, and Baltimore is sitting there with Mrs. Peach, and I didn't even like check the freaking like driveway to see if Mrs. Peach was. I was just like so zoned in, like I just want to go and like recuperate, you know. And I walk through the door, and Mrs. Peach is like, Alexis, you need to sit down, we need to talk. And I'm like, we talked yesterday. She's like, we're gonna talk again until I say. And I'm like, okay. So I go in, I'm sitting down, and Baltimore is just sitting there with her cafecito. And already he's like, I need you to tell me the truth of everything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I thought we were still on my situation, you know. I'm being selfish, I'm thinking about me. But she wanted to know about the night that we had snuck out and everything that was said, because I guess Stitch was saying that like she was saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and Baltimore is like, no, it was X, Y, and Z. Oh, like relieved, you know. And she's like, what did you think we were gonna talk about? And I was like, nada. And so I just sit down and I tell her exactly what happened. I didn't add more, I didn't add less. And I was like, this is what happened. She did get snippy with her. She got snippy with her. And she's like, okay, and that's for sure what happened. And I'm like, yeah. And so me and Baltimore's story, they added up. Mrs. Peach was like, okay, because I guess like Nars was having some car trouble, so she was gonna be there a little bit longer, and like other stuff that's like none of my business. And so I was like, oh, okay, so they just wanted to like get the situation right, because it's like a he said, she said, this, that, da, 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 da. And Stitch was saying that like I was pretty much like, come on, let's go, like making her go and like guilt tripping her into it. And I was like, oh no, but like I did make the phone call, and you know, we did hang out. And she's like, what? And so that opened up a bunch of worms, and I'm like, huh? And she's like, you know what, we're not gonna even say any of that because like Nars is not gonna even believe it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so she pretty much gave me an ultimatum that I couldn't date him anymore, and if I wanted to date him, then I wasn't gonna have a job with him. It was so awkward because she's like, which one are you gonna choose? And I was like, I choose him. I choose you, Pokemon. I was like, him. And she's like, ¿Qué tienes? Like yelling at me. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you really think that he's gonna love you? You really think that he's gonna be the one for you? And that like, what's wrong with me? That like people like him, they would use me and use me and use me, and they would go out and find someone better, that like their family is never going to accept me, especially like where I come from. And I'm like, but I love him. And so I literally got scolded for like 2 hours about how I'm a piece of shit and I will never be on the same level as him, and that I am just, I'm not good. He's just gonna use me and like toss me out to the dogs, and that I need to think smarter. Like they were trying to be, the pep talk would have been perfect if they went about it the right way. They literally were saying that like I wasn't good enough for him because I wasn't bilingual, because I wasn't full Mexican, and because of my mom, and because like I didn't have an education, and because I wasn't a virgin anymore, and so many things, instead of being like, he don't deserve you. We need to make sure that you are going to do better, and this and this. They went about it so cruel. And I just remember just like, they were really thinking, like them like nodding their heads together, we're really thinking that like they were like gonna make me be like, oh my God, you're right, like he deserves better, you know. And even when I would be like, so what if I'm not bilingual, like I can learn, like no, it's not the same, it's not the same. And I'm like, okay, like just like really like listening. And then like them talking down about my mom and like her situation, and I'm like, well, it makes his mom even better, like she's just as bad, like, and like she's in love with him. And like I was just, the conversation wasn't going great. So what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm gonna talk to him. They're like, no, you need to stop talking to him now. And I'm like, no, they didn't say like you shouldn't be with him, we don't want you to be with him because you said no. No means no. He does not love you, he's taking advantage of you. They were more on like, it felt like, you guys did this in our garage, this shouldn't be happening, you guys shouldn't be doing this, we gotta put a stop. They went about it the wrong way. And I know it's not their responsibility to raise me, take care of me, but I swear it feels like if they would have done a better job and like made me feel like family and like they cared, I would have been like, yeah, I don't need him in my life. It would have went completely different. But the way that these people talked and how they moved and how they said things didn't make me want to run to them. It made me want to like run the other way. So I asked her about, you know, the video and stuff. I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm like telling her like, oh, like I'm sorry. And she's like telling me that I'm gonna have to clean the garage and that it's just disgusting in there and it smells. And I'm like, okay, no, like in my head, like, okay, like you're tripping. Like she was like making me feel like so nasty. And I was like telling them like, how did you guys know? And she said that Mr. Peach got an alert and he was just like so focused on his phone that he couldn't even believe what he was seeing. And I was like, well, how long was he focused? And Baltimore is like, why does that matter? I'm like, because it does matter. Like it makes me feel uncomfortable. Ooh, you would think that I lit 2 matches under these bitches' asses. And they were like, what? Why are you saying stuff like that? You make it seem like he's a pervert or something. And I just like pretty much say like he doesn't have morals. And I'm like, So I let him know like, well, it's kind of gross. Like, why would he be? So they were literally making me feel weird. Like, why was I even questioning or even answering it? And she's like, and I know that you were in our bathroom and you took 2 baths, 1 shower, and you used mi jabón. And I was like, how do you even know that? And she's like, does that matter? Does that matter? And I'm like just like, oh my God. She's like, why are you looking at me with that stupid face? And so they were so defensive where I was like I was just like, okay, like be careful how you go. Cause it is just like, it could go left or it could go right. It can go like, so I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, oh, now I'm gonna have to scrub the tub and get all that nasty stuff. Oh, que cochina. And I was like, I didn't leave it a mess. And so she literally made me feel like, I can't believe like you used my bathroom, you filthy pig. And I was just like, so we stopped talking about it and I felt really gross. And I was just like, I'm sorry. And she's like, your sorries don't mean anything to me. They don't mean anything to me. And I'm like, okay. So I go upstairs and I'm like, fuck, because I was dismissed and I literally felt like the biggest piece of poop ever. But I was super happy, you guys, that I got my antibiotics because, oh my God, it was so painful. They were really thinking I was lying. So when they saw my little lunch bag, they were like, oh, like, you know, how was it, whatever. And I was like, oh, like I do have like a bladder infection. And she was like, because you're always holding in your pee and because tú sabes por qué también. And I was like, oh my God. So when they kind of seen it, they kind of let up. But right away, Baltimore wanted to like make a stupid like assumption. And she was like, it's the pill. It's for, you know, so like I can no longer have the baby. And I was like, that's not what it is. And I literally had to show them because I didn't want any rumors to start. And they did. So as I was going upstairs, I get another message from Joe and he says, yo, you're pregnant? So I'm gonna leave it there, you guys. I love you guys so freaking much. Besos a todos. I love you guys so freaking much. With all my heart. Thank you guys so much for letting me express my story times, all that good stuff. I love you guys again so freaking much. And I hope you guys like the new hairstyle. I felt like it was much needed. And I feel like me having bangs, I won't put so much heat on my hair. If that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like it was time for a change. I might dye them purple. Give them a little moment. But yeah, should I go a little bit shorter? Just a little bit shorter. No, huh? Rudy was like, just leave it. Leave it because you're gonna go shorter and it's not gonna look good. But I love you guys. I'll see you guys in my next story time. Bye.